All right, so the Baltimore Ravens beat their arch nemesis, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the AFC wildcard round the other night in pretty convincing fashion. I expect that to happen. I think that a lot of us out there expect that to happen. But my main takeaway from that game is that the way the Ravens offense looked, that was the exact vision of GM Eric DeCosta and the Ravens front office this offseason when they went out and acquired Derrick Henry. In March, the Ravens signed Derrick Henry to a 2-year, $16 million contract. And when you go on and look at Over the Cap, one of my favorite sources for information on the era, by the way, if you haven't checked that site out, I highly recommend that you do. You'll see that Derrick Henry has the 7th highest cap number on the Ravens. Not even top 3. 7. And for the value he's delivered to that team, for his contribution, that's a pretty favorable number for the Ravens. And mind you, at the time when the Ravens went out and made that move, there's this perception around Derrick Henry in the league that maybe the Titans ran him into the grounds. How many more good years, high-performing years like he's had, does he have? He's starting to get older. The Ravens knew what they would get out of Derrick Henry that entire time because that's what a good front office does. They know how a player is going to fit in their system, and they see guys out there that maybe starting to be doubted by the rest of the league, questions, how many more good years do they have? Are they over the hill? The Ravens knew what they were going to extract out of Derrick Henry, and they knew that the pieces that they already had on offense were going to mesh very well with Derrick Henry. He was going to fit perfectly into their system because the way that the Ravens front office viewed it when they were constructing this roster was they were going to have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry as a tandem running at opposing defenses at full speed. If you try to blanket one, the other's going to capitalize. And it's another thing that smart front offices do is they make adjustments after they make observations. It was clear the way that the Ravens lost the AFC Championship to the Chiefs last year that they're going to have to make a course correction. They're going to have to make some adjustments because with just Lamar sitting back there with a pretty decent running back room, slightly above average receivers, that team had a ceiling. But when you bring in somebody like Derrick Henry, still is one of the best running backs in the league, and you pair him with Lamar Jackson with his electrifying running abilities and Lamar's greatly improved passing abilities, that's an offense that's virtually unstoppable when you pair all of that together. That was the vision, and damn, has it come into fruition. One last thing that really smart GMs and front offices do, they get highly performing guys at a discount. I'm going to circle back to that number that I mentioned, Derrick Henry's average salary, $8 million a year. I want to compare that number to the average salary of other guys in the NFL's running back markets. Christian McCaffrey, his average salary, exactly double Derrick Henry's average salary. $16 million a year C-Mac makes. Alvin Kamara, $15 million a year. Jonathan Taylor, $14 million a year. The Ravens got somebody like Derrick Henry at a significant discount for how he's performed this year. And let's dive into those numbers. 1,921 regular season rushing yards for Derrick Henry this year. And he had 186 rushing yards against the Steelers. Those numbers are astounding, especially when you pair that with his average salary. I would argue that Derrick Henry's contract with the Ravens might be the most valuable contract in the NFL as far as the juxtaposition between how much he makes a year and what he's contributed to the Ravens organization this year through his performance. Simply amazing. That is what great front offices do. They see guys that have a high ceiling and will be a great addition to whatever respective unit is on their team. They go out, they get them, they do that, and they get those guys at a discount. Brilliant on the part of Eric DeCosta and the Ravens front office. And all those numbers I explained, they're all good and well. But I want to know how the addition of Derrick Henry influenced the Ravens team overall. Well, when you break it down, a lot of what Lamar struggled with, especially in the playoffs, was anxiety, nervousness. He has come out and said that himself. He gets way too keyed up going into playoff games. And sometimes he gets a little shaky. He starts to see things that aren't there. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of athletes out there that deal with that. That's nothing out of the norm. But when you're a front office, a smart front office at that, that's something that you analyze in the offseason. You know, how can we improve our chances of winning given that factor that may not be fixable, may not be correctable? You go out and get a skilled running back like Derrick Henry. I firmly believe that the decision of the Ravens to acquire Derrick Henry, yes, it benefited the Ravens in the regular season, but the purpose of it lied in the postseason. Because what somebody like Derrick Henry does is it opens up the passages for the Ravens offense. You're Lamar Jackson. You're in the AFC Divisional, or the AFC Championship for that matter. You're a little nervous. You hand the ball off a couple times to Derrick Henry. He gets 7-8 yards a carry, gets maybe one 25, 30-yard burst. You see the ball moving downfield. All of a sudden, you're feeling a little bit more confident, a little bit more assured in yourself. You're Lamar Jackson because you're seeing the ball go downfield. You're seeing your offense produce. So you're like, okay, we're settling in. I'm settling in. You relax a little. You complete a few high percentage throws, and all of a sudden your offense is rolling. You get your confidence, you get your aura, and then Lamar Jackson slinging it. That's what you saw out of Lamar Jackson against the Steelers. They used Derrick Henry to open up the passages, get that offense in rhythm. Then Lamar Jackson started making some high percentage throws, and then he started to work his magic on the grounds and through the air. I mean, that touchdown pass Lamar had to end the first half against the Steelers, that was incredible. And he was just out there freely flowing, being himself. There was no anxiety at all. He was just out there being Lamar. And that's a result of having a great running back. You get the ball rolling. You see the ball moving down the field, and then you relax a little bit. When you're in a spot where you're a little nervous, you see your offense producing a little bit, your nerves start to go down. That's what didn't happen for the Ravens against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship last year. Opening drive, you can tell that the Ravens offense was just completely disjointed, miscombobulated, and that stayed in Lamar's head. Went back out, same thing, 3 and out. You're not seeing the ball move downfield. Then you get in your head, why aren't we moving the ball? What can I do to change this? And then you start trying to force things, and it gets even worse. Then you make mental mistakes, and then your confidence goes down. Well, that whole negative cycle and avalanche doesn't happen when you start off with one of the best running backs in the NFL. Because then you're Lamar Jackson, you get relaxed, and when Lamar's relaxed, he can be the Lamar that we all love and adore. The walking highlight reel that he is. And I think that that's what gives the Ravens their best chance of going to and winning a Super Bowl that they've had in this John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson era yet. Is having Derrick Henry. Because in the past, if you slow down Lamar, if you put him in a box, you can really limit the Ravens and secure a victory. If you're the Chiefs, the Bills, another AFC competitor out there. You don't have that ability now. You have to worry about both of those guys. And, oh yeah, when you have one of the best running backs in the NFL and one of the best dual threat quarterbacks we've ever seen on the same offense, your receivers are also going to get open easier because defenses are focusing so much on those two guys and catering their schemes to do that, that those receivers, Bateman, Flowers, tight ends, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, they're getting open more often because so much attention is being allocated to Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and what they're going to do as a tandem. It just completely changes the look of this Ravens offense. Completely reinvented it. That's what great front offices do. They identify an issue. They make adjustments. They make decisions to correct that issue. And then here's your result, what you're seeing with the Ravens. And I'm not at all insinuating that the Ravens are going to beat the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl this year, because on the era, we don't doubt the Chiefs and teams like the Chiefs who do things that the Chiefs do. But this is the Ravens' best chance yet. And it's the vision of Eric DeCosta and the Ravens front office coming into fruition that we're seeing with this offense right now. That dual threat, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, a two-headed monster, and Lamar's passing abilities. Lamar had over 40 touchdown passes this year. Why? Because he's looser and more confident than ever, having number 22 next to him. You're a smart front office. You've got to make a move that's going to make the guys on your team feel more confident, feel more comfortable, and ultimately elevate the performance of your team overall. That's what great front offices do. That's what Eric DeCosta and the Ravens front office did. Fantastic move. It's paying off. I can't wait to see what the Ravens do against Buffalo this weekend. Have a great day.